Introduction. Tara Westover's memoir, Educated, is a compelling and deeply personal narrative that traces her extraordinary journey from a childhood in rural Idaho, where she had no formal education, to eventually earning a PhD from Cambridge University. The book is a testament to the power of education and the resilience of the human spirit. In this comprehensive summary, we will explore the key themes and events in Tara Westover's life. Part 1. Family and Upbringing. Tara Westover was born into a devout and survivalist Mormon family in Bucks Peak, Idaho. Her parents, Jean and Faye, subscribed to a strict interpretation of their faith, which included a deep mistrust of the government and mainstream institutions. This worldview profoundly shaped Tara's upbringing and early education, isolation, and self-reliance. In the beginning chapters of the book, she recites, "I had been taught to fear every government on earth, and in that I had been educated." Tara's family lived in isolation, avoiding hospitals, schools, and any form of government intervention. They believed in self-sufficiency, stockpiling food and supplies in anticipation of a catastrophic event they called the Days of Abomination. As a result, Tara and her siblings grew up with limited exposure to the outside world, and Tara's education was neglected. The rigors of family life. Tara's mother, Faye, practiced herbal medicine and served as the family's unofficial midwife, which meant that the Westover children were often injured or sick without proper medical care. Tara vividly describes the pain and fear of these experiences and how they reinforced her parents' distrust of the medical establishment. A chaotic household. Her mom was preparing for the end of days because of the Y2K computer bug, which was prophesied to cause widespread calamity when the year 2000 arrived. Tara's childhood was marked by the chaos and unpredictability of her family's beliefs. They stockpiled supplies, canned food, and even practiced midwifery in preparation for various apocalyptic scenarios, such as Y2K. This environment made it difficult for Tara to establish a stable sense of reality or engage in formal education. Part 2. Education and Self-discovery. Despite the obstacles and challenges she faced in her early years, Tara Westover's hunger for knowledge and her determination to escape her limited life were unwavering. This section of the book explores her journey into education and self-discovery. First steps toward education. Tara's journey to education began with self-study. She taught herself to read and write, often using old textbooks and workbooks scavenged from her family's home. She realized that education was her ticket to a different life, but the path ahead was fraught with challenges. The transformational power of books. She had been able to borrow a calculus book, and from it she'd taught herself trigonometry, geometry, and algebra. Books became Tara's lifeline to the outside world. She voraciously read textbooks and discovered a love for learning that transcended her isolated upbringing. Her determination to educate herself extended to a desire to attend college, but this aspiration was met with skepticism and resistance from her family. The struggle for acceptance. Her family was not the sort of family that would ever attend a four-year university. Tara faced numerous obstacles in her quest for higher education. Her family's beliefs, lack of formal schooling, and financial constraints all posed significant challenges. However, her determination and resourcefulness led her to seek admission to Brigham Young University, where she began her formal education. Part 3. The challenges of higher education. Tara's transition to college life at BYU was fraught with difficulties as she navigated the unfamiliar terrain of academia and social interactions. This section delves into her experiences during this pivotal period. Academic challenges. She had little conception of how the two things, school and education, were different. Tara struggled academically in the beginning, having had minimal exposure to formal education prior to college. She faced gaps in her knowledge and had to work diligently to catch up with her peers. However, her determination and thirst for knowledge were unwavering. Cultural and social shock. Many of her peers had exotic backgrounds. They had traveled to countries she had never heard of, read books she had never read, seen things she had never seen. Tara's entry into the world of higher education exposed her to diverse perspectives and backgrounds that were vastly different from her own. She grappled with feelings of inadequacy and struggled to fit in socially, but she persisted in her studies. Breaking free. She stood at the boundary between her world and theirs. She could stand here, she thought, and cross over anytime she wanted. The moment she crossed, she'd be in the land of the educated. Tara's time at BYU marked a turning point in her life. She began to question her family's beliefs and the limitations they had imposed on her. Her growing awareness of the world beyond her family's worldview fueled her determination to pursue higher education at all costs. Tara's ambition led her to Cambridge University, where she pursued a PhD in history. Her academic journey took her to new heights. In the closing chapters of the book, she writes, "The most powerful narratives in the world are the ones we tell about ourselves, but they're also the ones that others tell about us." Tara's journey to education forced her to confront her identity and reconcile the different facets of her life. She faced the challenge of balancing her newfound intellectual freedom with her